True story. Over 20 years ago, my now married daughter told me one early December Sunday morning that she wanted to be Christmas. Kara, the rabbi's daughter, is a graduate of Temple's flagship Jewish preschool and kindergarten. She was raised on so much Jewish music in my car that she didn't discover classic 70s and other rock and roll songs until later in life. So I couldn't understand where her comment was coming from. Turns out my wife and I had hired a babysitting service to look after our children whenever we went out alone. And Kara noticed one mid-December night, we were just about the only house in our cul-de-sac without Christmas lights. Why do they have lights and we don't? Kara wisely asked. And the neatest sitter we hired answered honestly, because they're Christian, it's Christmas. So, on the Sunday after our Saturday night going to a movie, my daughter said that she wanted to be Christmas Christian because of the lights. I answered her this way. Okay, honey, but if we do that, and if we stop being Jewish, then we won't do Rosh Hashanah, break fast, Hanukkah, Purim, Passover, Sukkot, and Shabbat every week. Our wise little daughter thought about it for a minute and said, okay, we'll stay Jewish. That moment taught me that the key to a positive Jewish identity was creating joyous and comforting Jewish experiences throughout the year so that our daughter knew and loved who she was, even as a lone Jewish girl surrounded by Christmas lights in a Cordova cul-de-sac. One irony about the lights, by the way, is that decorations are equally, if not more appropriate for Hanukkah's message, which is about pride in one's faith, no matter what one's faith. There is even a mitzvah, pirsum mitzvah, to display your Hanukkah lights in the window. All I had to do was tell my wife, the event planner, that it's entirely in keeping with the message of Hanukkah to go to town with decorations, and our house the following year literally looked like a Jewish winter wonderland with Hanukkah lights, adornments, and other trimmings, so much so that we later, when we moved to a house later, we had boxes of Hanukkah paraphernalia that could fill the Temple Sisterhood gift shop closet down the hall. Now, to be clear, it's not because I'm a rabbi that my child understood my reply to her Christmas query. It's because her life had been filled with so many joyous and positive Jewish experiences here at Temple and at home, and from January to November at camp, on Friday night Shabbats like tonight, and on Hanukkah too, that she could appreciate the holiday her Christian friends and our friends were celebrating, just as one would in attending a close friend's birthday party. Children know that it doesn't have to always be their birthday to celebrate with other people, so long as children know what and when their own birthday is. Being an American Jew and Memphis resident, where 99% of the city isn't Jewish, has another residual benefit, including receiving and giving away Hanukkah gifts and tzedakah on more than one night, even if gift giving has nothing to do with either holiday. Interestingly, both Hanukkah and Christmas begin on the 25th day of the month. Hanukkah on the 25th day of the lunar month of Kislev, and Christmas, of course, on today's solar date, the 25th of December. Yet Hanukkah didn't even make the final cut of the Hebrew Bible. It's therefore technically a minor holiday that Christmas has made major, especially in America. Now, one vital link between Christmas and Hanukkah most of us don't think about is that had the story of Hanukkah not happened, there would be no Christmas. How so? Hanukkah commemorates the miraculous survival of Judaism 165 years before zero, when tyrants nearly ended the Jewish story, had Antiochus Epiphanes and other Jewish tormentors succeeded in wiping out and annihilating the Jewish people, Judaism would have died out 165 years before zero, and there would not have been a Judaism for Jesus to be born into and live and practice. Hence, no Christmas. I've never viewed Christmas in America as a December dilemma for practicing Jews, even as young as my then 6-year-old daughter taught me. To repeat, as I've told parents of young Jewish children for decades, it doesn't have to be your child's birthday to celebrate someone else's. Just fill her or him with a love for his or her own so that she knows and loves her Jewish self. If you do that, I advise Jewish households, then your children will have no difficulty when they're older understanding the difference between Passover's freedom message and Easter's risen Christ. You can go to a friend's Easter dinner or love the beauty of the Christmas lights at Shelby Farm's Starry Nights, as my own family did last night. One group of Jews who understood this idea I'm presenting were America's 19th century Jewish immigrants, a cohort among them, most of whom loved being Jewish and ended up, believe it or not, writing the most popular Christmas songs of all time. Izzy Boleyn changed his name to Irving Berlin, but not because he denied his Jewishness. And Jacob Gershwin, the son of a cantor, never announced his Jewish faith or heritage when he changed his name to George Gershwin. He just loved living in a nation like America, as I hope we all do, where a Jewish composer, pianist, and painter could write and publish music spanning both popular and classical genres. And it's not just that a Jewish Irving Berlin composed I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. Guess who died in 1993 in Manhattan at the age of 92 and is buried in Beth David Cemetery in Elmont, New York, after living his entire life as a faithful Jew? The one who wrote Sleigh Ride, Mitchell Parrish, himself a Lithuanian Jewish immigrant. Believe it or not, the brains behind Winter Wonderland was the Jewish pianist and conductor Felix Bernard. And the Jew Ralph Blaine came up with the song, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Even the Christmas carol, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, was conceived in 10 minutes by another successful Jewish composer named Fred Kutz. We have two other Jewish boys to thank, Sammy Kahn and Jules Stein, for writing Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. Both were East European Jewish immigrants. The list of American Jews who wrote the music of the Christmas season goes on, from The Most Wonderful Time of the Year and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Sleigh Bells, all written by Jews who acculturated during a time of quotas against Jews, restricted country clubs, hotels that didn't allow Jews, neighborhoods that wouldn't welcome Jews, other forms of economic, religious, social anti-Semitism right here in America in the 1920s. Here we are 100 years later, as 2020 ends this week. There are no barriers to Jews in America prospering, and anyone who excludes Jews today is either a hate group or a sad vestige of 1920s nativism. But the 2020 reality also means that there is nothing to keep American Jews Jewish, especially those under 50. I believe that the only way to keep alive the light of Judaism, no matter what our age, is to fill our homes with more than just Hanukkah lights in December. Among the best 4 pages I've read this month were written by another beautiful soul who will embrace Judaism formally this Sunday after studying for conversion at Temple Israel for over a year. She writes, and I quote, "Since moving back to Memphis 11 years ago and having been a part of Temple Israel and the ELC the past 7 years, I have fostered many relationships within the Jewish community, and through my children's education, I've learned about holidays, the notion of tzedakah, prayer, song, and most importantly, about the power of community. As a future Jew and Reformed Jew," she continues, "I appreciate what it means to be committed to a life of progressive change, of inclusivity, of affirming one God, of putting our words into action, of social justice, of nurturing and developing future generations of thinkers and doers and change makers. We talk as a Jewish family," she continues, "about what it means to be grateful, what it means to do good, what it means to be aware of the world and how others may see things differently than we do. What strikes me most about the Jewish people, this amazing newcomer to our community," and People writes, "is the power of the Jewish people's collective strength and resilience, the ability to seek light and embrace hope, no matter what despair we face." End quote. If only those of us who've been Jewish our entire lives felt that kind of joy, security, positivity, and love this person who was raised in a loving Christian family feels about the Jewish family she is now raising and the Jew she is herself becoming. I love Christmas for the better angels most Americans show at this time. I love Christmas for the opportunity to do mitzvahs for my Christian neighbors on this day. I'm a part, as a Jew, on Christian beliefs like original sin, immaculate conception, or blood atonement. But if these notions or others my Muslim brothers and sisters adhere to inspire them to spread peace and goodwill in a nation and world sorely in need of decency, goodness, and loving all God's children, then I'll be rooting for anyone and everyone who will help make God's name one, whether on Christmas or Ramadan. We shall be known by the company we keep. And I thank God for the company we keep here in Memphis across all racial, economic, and religious lines, especially on this Shabbat as the sun sets on Christmas and a new year awaits. Amen.